I'm Stephanie Black. I am the co-founder of Credit Butterfly Software. And this week we're super excited because we have Lucia Corral, who is the CEO of Ninja Premium Outsourcing. So she's actually going to give us a really amazing class on disputing. She is a master at that. She's also a very knowledgeable credit expert. She has been educating on credit for how long, Lucia?
Since 2019.
For the last 6 years. She is very knowledgeable. I know Lucia because we both served on a compliance board together. So that's how we met, maybe what, a year or two ago?
I think it was like 2 years ago already.
I'm thinking a couple years ago. She has a lot of experience in consumer law, FCRA violations. She teaches advanced dispute strategies. Her company can get you advanced results also with her dispute tactics. But she's going to share some. We're not gatekeepers around here. We share things. And so she is going to give you guys some things you can put in practice for yourselves. And if you need outsourcing, of course, you can always let her know. She has all compliant processes. We really care about that. If you guys can please mute yourselves if you're not muted, that would be helpful so we don't have background noise.
Perfect.
So
That's a lot better.
she has very compliant processes, which matters to us because as your Credit Butterfly platform is a very compliant platform. We have compliance built in. So that is something that really matters to us. We always like to bring on speakers here in our group that are going to give good information that is compliant information. So we're not getting you in trouble. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce Lucia. And Lucia, if you have a PowerPoint, you can feel free
Do.
to share your screen.
Perfect. Awesome. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being on the call with us tonight. My name is Lucia Corral. For those of you who do not know me, I've been in the credit repair space since 2019. I am the owner of Ninja Automation. So those of you who are looking to scale and grow your business and leave all the back end work to our team, feel free to go ahead and connect with me, reach out to me after the call if that's something that you're interested in. And we can give you a little bit more details on that. But tonight we're going to go ahead and just show you a little bit of a workflow and a process that we put into play for our outsourcing partners. We do have a Facebook page, Ninja Premium Outsourcing. You can take a look at the type of results that we get for our outsourcing partners, and those type of results, we get them by implementing the dispute processes that we're going to cover today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will get started. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Perfect. Awesome. Tonight we're going to cover credit dispute strategies. This is going to include consumer law, factual. It's going to include CFPB, BBB, and Metro 2 challenges. There's definitely more tactics that can be put into play, but we've really seen such a big impact in the type of results and the time frame, the results that we're getting by utilizing all these different resources. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, of course, with the credit dispute process, the most important thing is understanding the FCRA is crucial for initiating disputes with the credit bureaus, making sure that you're getting the proper debt validation. This ensures that there's accuracy against the claims that are being held against the consumers. Escalation steps are vital for resolving disputes through CFPB and BBB. Is everybody on this call, has everybody utilized the CFPB and the Better Business Bureau in the past? Or do we have people on the call that have never utilized the CFPB or the BBB in their dispute process? If you guys want to drop, if you are utilizing it, drop a 1 in the chat. And if you're not utilizing any of these resources, drop a 2 in the chat. We'd love to see what you guys are currently implementing. So Brenda says no. Riza says yes. Perfect. Awesome. Great. All right. So let's go ahead and start with the FCRA disputes. Understanding the laws and the role in which they protect the consumer is going to be essential for the dispute resolution. The FCRA provides essential rights for consumers regarding their credit reports. We all know this, right? Something that we have to give our clients. Now, disputing inaccuracies empowers consumers to maintain accurate credit history. Each step in the dispute process is going to be crucial for the effectiveness of the resolution, which, guys, we are in an industry where I don't care how much your clients like you, they want to see results. right? Who agrees with me there? It doesn't matter how much they like you if they're not getting any results. Eventually, they get a little discouraged and you have some unhappy clients. Now, with the FCRA disputes, let me go ahead and minimize my little. I don't know if y'all can see that on my screen. So, with the FCRA disputes, I always do this in my very first step. I immediately go in with a consumer law attack in regards to FCRA violations. Now, we send our first round of disputes directly to the bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Now, on day one, we initiate our investigation by letting them know that we want a reinvestigation of disputed info. Now, a lot of clients come to us with, they've worked with other credit repair companies in the past. And so we're initially going to go into the reinvestigation process on day one, right? The bureaus have about 30 days to respond to your investigation. Now, what's the purpose of starting with 15 US Code 1681I? The purpose is to force the investigation of accuracy and completeness, right? According to the FCRA, we're going to focus on inaccurate, unverifiable, outdated information. Go ahead and feel free to take a screenshot of that law if you guys would like. Let me know if I need to come back to it. Now, with the debt validation process, it's very important to understand that holding the creditors accountable is going to make sure that your dispute strategies are more effective. The FCRA dispute process ensures consumers can challenge inaccuracies in their credit report. So if they're not reporting 100% accurate across the board, it is the consumer's right to challenge those discrepancies. Debt validation request compel creditors to provide proof of the debt's legitimacy. Engaging appropriate authorities strengthens consumer rights and promotes accountability in the lending practices, which we know if there's anybody that's not really held accountable for the things that they do, it's the credit bureaus and it's the creditors for what they report, right? We are all probably on the same page when it comes to that. Yes, if you have questions in the chat, please post them in the chat. We will definitely cover them at the end of the presentation. Now, when it comes to debt validation, what is going to be the proper documentation that they will provide or that you want to request them to provide, right? That is going to include a variety of different things, but a couple of I think, main points is going to be making sure that they have the original signed application. And guys, feel free to take a screenshot of the presentation if you would like, which I think everybody gets a recording, don't they, Stephanie, at the end?
They do get a recording, and if you send us your PowerPoint, we will actually add it to the replay that we send out.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Perfect. So no need to screenshot. We'll definitely get it over to you guys. Now, one of the things is going to include the original signed application or the contract showing that the consumer agreed to the account, right? They have to be able to show the original contract. Now, proof of ownership showing that the creditor has legal right to collect on that account. Another thing is, do they even have the right to collect in your state? That's a big one, right? Communication records showing the attempts to notify the consumer of delinquency or changes. They have to go through a certain process to try to get you to pay that debt before they can even put it on the credit report. Oh, I think somebody got unmuted. I'm not sure. Stephanie, if you can see. And what's the purpose, of course, is to ensure that the collector has legal right and proof to even host and collect on that debt. Now, step two, not only are we going to attack, so this is all within a 1 to 10 day window, right? So we're going to go with FCRA, but I'm also going to go in and attack directly with the collection agency, whether it's the original creditor or it's been sold to a third party. Immediately going to also request debt validation to them directly as well. So I usually do that within the first 1 to 10 days. And you want to initiate your investigation using 15 US Code 1692 validation of debt. We're going to send a validation of debt directly to the furnisher. The collector must stop until it is validated. So it must stop reporting the debt until it is validated. Now, the purpose is to ensure that the collector also has the right and proof of the debt, making sure that they actually have the documentation and the list of things that we covered. Add those to your letters, request those type of documents so that you're ensuring that they're actually verifying it with proper documentation. Now, in the verification process, accurate data is essential for effective credit dispute resolution. Now, initiating a dispute process requires clear communication with relevant parties to ensure accountability. Proper verification, remember we talked about the proper documents, helps maintain compliance and supports clients' right throughout the dispute journey. That's why it's important that you're asking for the proper documentation to be able to verify that debt. It's important that you're going to see if that debt collector is even allowed to collect in your state, right? All those things are important because you can use those things directly against the creditor to dispute that debt. Now, we're going to send on step number 3, we're going to use the method of verification. So anything that came back verified from the initial dispute, this is going to be on day 35, day 40. This is when you're going to submit your second attack. With your second attack, we're also going to, again, attack directly to the credit bureaus. We're going to initiate our investigation with 15 U.S. Code 1681I. Now, the reason why we do this is to demand evidence of the verification process. Now, this is letting them know, already verified the information. What did you utilize to verify this data? Now, Metro 2. Is there anybody here that's utilizing Metro 2 in their dispute process? If you've been using Metro 2, drop me a 1 in the chat. If you're not using Metro 2, drop me a 2 in the chat. 2, Rochelle. Riza says 1, perfect. Definitely, okay, I see a couple of 2s in the chat. Great, definitely see some 1s. Okay. So Metro 2 was something that I really didn't utilize in the beginning of my credit journey. But I really saw how the way Metro 2 helped the dispute process along with consumer law, BBB, CFPB, making sure that you're utilizing not only the FCRA standards, but the Metro 2 reporting standards. Right now, what I love about most of the CRMs that are out there is if they offer you Metro 2, you don't have to really know what the standards are or what the reporting standards are. The system is automatically going to break it down for you, right? It's got all the coding embedded in it. It's got the factual verbiage that tells you exactly what's wrong with the account. So Metro 2 is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I do something that a lot of people probably don't do when it comes to Metro 2. When it comes to Metro 2, I like to incorporate my consumer laws in them as well. A lot of people are like, no, you shouldn't mix the different types of disputing tactics, but I've seen huge success with it. So I continue to do it anyways. Could it be just, I think somebody wrote on the board. I was like, I see a line through there. Some people don't like to mix the 2 different tactics, but I've seen huge success with it. So in my Metro 2, I'm not sure what CRMs everybody is using, but what usually you have the ability to still continue to add a reason and instruction to your Metro 2 letters. And so I still continue. The results are so much better when you add consumer law to Metro 2. That's facts, David said. It's just what we've tested and what we've seen work, and we just continue to do that. Right. And so if you are not utilizing Metro 2, I highly recommend that you start incorporating in it. There's a couple of softwares that have it already built into the system. And I don't think most of them don't charge anything additional to utilize those. Some are strictly Metro 2 softwares. Those do, I believe, charge. But if you're using other CRMs, they do include them in there. You want to definitely start using them in your process. And like I said, adding that consumer law, game changer. Now, the Metro 2 compliance ensures Credit Butterfly. Hey, Stephanie, is there Metro 2 in Credit Butterfly?
No, not yet.
Oh, somebody said Credit Butterfly. I was like, oh, I didn't know there was
Yeah,
Metro 2.
Albert.
Okay, beautiful.
We don't have it in there yet, but we'll be adding it pretty soon.
Beautiful. I love that. So Metro 2 compliance ensures accurate reporting under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Now, proper adherence to the standard minimizes disputes and enhances credit reporting integrity. By following these steps, clients can achieve effective dispute resolution and better credit scores. Now, when it comes to the Metro 2, we usually initiate our investigation with Metro 2 around day 50, day 60. So as you're getting close to the end of that second month, we'd like to send a Metro 2 attack. This is usually in between your disputing cycles. Now, we do add our 15 U.S. Code 1681 EB, which is the accuracy of reports, to our Metro 2 letters. This is what we found to really amplify the results that we're getting utilizing the Metro 2 tactics. Now, the purpose is to challenge inaccurate statuses, dates, and reporting format. So not only are we hitting them with the accuracy under consumer law, but we're also hitting them under the Metro 2 reporting standards. Now, the CFPB. Who here's utilizing the CFPB for their disputes? A lot of people didn't even know that the CFPB was a resource that they can utilize to dispute their consumer files. Now, I love to use the CFPB for different reasons, right? Right now, the biggest thing that we're seeing is, and I'm sure there's a lot of people seeing Equifax right now is completely clearing all the data for a lot of our outsourcing partners' clients, right? And so we can send them all the verification that they are requesting, and it can be months sometimes, and there's still no credit report and there's still no credit score to be able to fight that bureau, right? And that you call them, they tell you to send in the documents, you send in the documents, and it still never gets updated. Is anybody struggling with Equifax? Drop me an Equifax in the chat if you want, or if you're seeing it with other bureaus, because we've definitely seen it with others, but we really see it a lot more with Equifax. And so we've been utilizing the CFPB because you can actually make a complaint against Equifax, letting them know that you've submitted all the proper documentation. You can upload what you've sent to them already, upload the initial disputes, which I don't know about you guys, but I include all forms of identification. You only need two out of the three to verify your client's identity with the bureaus, but we'd like to submit three forms of identification so that there's no wiggle room for them to stall. So if you're already sending out all their documentation with the initial disputes and they're telling you, hey, you're calling them and they're telling you you have to provide your identity verification, but yet you've already sent that in, I immediately go and submit a CFPB complaint. I do complain online with the CFPB, right? You want to make sure that your clients have their own account with the CFPB, and you can go ahead and assist them with submitting a complaint to not being able to access that data on their credit report. So that's an additional way that we've been utilizing the CFPB. Now, the CFPB enforces laws that safeguard consumers from unfair financial practices. Now, another thing that we also utilize with the CFPB that I seem to really think is effective. And please, I would want you guys to try these tactics out and let me know if it's working for you, because it's not a one shoe fits all, right? What works for one is not going to work for everybody. But what we've been doing is with the CFPB, we actually upload our Metro 2 disputes against the Bureau directly to the CFPB. So we attach that as this is my initial investigation. And with my Metro 2 disputes, my proof of identification is automatically attached. So I don't have to upload any more identification documents. It's already in there. And so that's one of the things that we've been testing that has really been working. And just, of course, the time frame in which the CFPB responds is not usually ideal. They can take about 30 to 60 days to respond, but nonetheless, the results that we're getting from it is phenomenal. So it's very much, you're not going to stop and wait and do nothing within 30 to 60 days. You're going to continue the regular dispute process, but the CFPB themselves may take about 30 to 60 days to report back to you in regards to any resolution. By addressing complaints, the CFPB fosters accountability, promoting transparency in financial dealings. Who here is using the CFPB? If you're using the CFPB, drop me a one in the chat. I'd love to see who all is using the CFPB. One, Wendell. Hey, Wendell. I got to meet Wendell in person in Dallas a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Wendell's
Beautiful.
awesome.
Yes. Mi amigo de Texas. Beautiful. Perfect. All right. Is there anybody here? I see a couple of twos, people that are not utilizing the CFPB. I want you guys to utilize these resources. They're here to help your clients, which they're here to help consumers. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing the CFPB. We want to make sure that we're utilizing the BBB. God, there's others that I really haven't dove into, OCC, the Attorney General. There's so many other resources that you can utilize, but at the very minimum, you want to make sure you're utilizing the CFPB and the BBB in your dispute process. And of course, Metro 2. How much time do I got? Stephanie, we
It's
still
like
good?
4:26, so you're still good. You probably got
Okay,
another 15 minutes. You can go ahead before we take questions. Because your
perfect.
questions are loading up.
Yep. Chris says dispute directly to the CEO by email. That's a great tactic. For those of you, I think I have a list of CEOs and their emails that I can dig up. But yes, if you dispute directly with the CEO, that's another tactic that has definitely been making some impact, especially with those late payments. How do you use CFPB on student loan lates? With the student loan lates, I really look at the data that it's reporting, right? Are the late payments reporting 100% accurately across the board? Right? That's one of the things that we want to check when it comes to student loan lates. Now,
Yeah, can
here's
I
here's
interject one thing real quick, Lucia? I want everybody to understand that when Lucia is talking about utilizing all of these different things, she's talking about utilizing them for actual inaccurate things. She's
Yes.
not loading up accurate information and saying it's not accurate. She's
Yes.
having true inaccuracy. So I think that sometimes gets lost in the translation when we're doing these types of things. So she's going to look for that actual inaccuracy, and that's what she's uploading. So it's not just if they're late and if it's all reporting accurately, we're not doing that, right? We're not uploading to the CFPB if it's all accurate.
Right. And so, one of the things that a little kind of tip for everybody that I actually got from an FCRA attorney, they let me know that when it comes to student loans, because student loans, you always see a lot of student loans transferred. If a student loan was transferred, according to the FCRA attorney that I spoke to, he said, and Stephanie, let me know if I'm right or not, or if this is something you never heard of. But he says when it comes to student loans, if the debt is actually transferred, all the late payment history that was associated with that account must be completely removed from that account on the credit report. And so that was something that I'd never heard before, but I thought I found very interesting because I do see a lot of student loans that have been transferred that are still reporting a lot of that derogatory information. So that's one of the things that I would look for. I would make sure that the late payments are reporting accurately across the board. If they're not, go ahead and dispute in regards to those discrepancies that you see in regards to that account, right? The open dates, anything like that that is not 100% accurate, right? It's not 99% accurate, 98, 95. It's 100% accurate. It has to be 100% accurate.
So the thing with the transferred student loans is that they can't report anything but when it transferred moving forward. So they can't go in and report. You can't have the old student loans still reporting with late payments on there from years 20 to 2023, say, and then it got transferred in 2023. So it can only report from there on. So a lot of
Got
times
you.
what'll happen, it starts reporting the back time. Now that's a violation, right? If you find a late on there, it got transferred in 2023, but it's showing a late from 2021, that's an absolute FCRA
Violation.
violation.
Beautiful. All right, you guys. Now, the next resource that we're going to talk about is going to be the Better Business Bureau. Understanding the BBB's impact on consumer disputes is huge. Okay. It's a neutral third party mediator between consumers and businesses. So, especially, like I said, if you go in and you see that there's a creditor that's trying to collect on a debt on your credit report and they're not legally allowed to collect in your state, submit a BBB complaint. They will definitely get their attention. Trust me, they do not want their BBB ratings to drop, which a lot of them unfortunately already have low BBB ratings, but they definitely take their BBB complaints seriously and the time frame that it's able to do it in, right? When we submit a BBB complaint, they immediately acknowledge that they received that BBB complaint and it is done online. You submit your complaint directly online. We usually like to dispute directly against the third party collection agencies. We see a lot of eliminations with third party collection agencies utilizing the BBB. And so we'll dispute directly with them. And depending on the account, what is wrong? The balances are wrong, especially if the balance that's reporting is inaccurate, if they don't have the right to collect the debt inside of in your state, that those are all things that you can utilize as reasons to complain against the creditor for reporting this on your credit file. Is anybody here utilizing the BBB?
I think this is a super slept on tactic. Yeah.
Chris says one. Beautiful. If you're not utilizing the BBB, not yet, but we're going to, right? Brenda says no. Definitely. We're going to utilize the BBB for definitely, because especially with third party collection agencies, this is where we see more success. Now, you can submit BBB complaints, especially if you submitted to the third party debt collector when you requested validation. You can submit that with your BBB complaint so that they can see that you've previously tried to resolve this. Right now, the only thing with the BBB is that if they need additional information from you, they only give you 3 days to respond. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping track of your email. That's where they're going to communicate to you. And They're really quick. I would say probably, I hate to put a time frame on a lot of things, how they're going to respond, but we usually hear back from them probably within the first, I would say 15 to 30 days, if not sooner. I love to give worst case scenarios because if it happens sooner, we under promised and we over delivered. But really, the time frame that you're able to get a resolution from the BBB is phenomenal. We had a client who had 5 collection accounts with the same company. It was credit management. We all know them. We all know the discrepancies they report. They deleted all, we only sent in 1 complaint and we added in the comments the additional accounts that were being held in their office. And they deleted all 5 collection accounts from our BBB complaint. So if you guys are sleeping on the BBB, definitely, I'm telling you, it's time to wake up and utilize these resources. Now, you want to file directly online with the Better Business Bureau. Now, they're not legally binding, but it does encourage a resolution, right? So you can't sue because of it. They don't have to legally step in, but they like to get a resolution for you. Now, if the creditor responds, they'll provide that inside of your portal, inside of the BBB. They'll send you a little link. You're going to click on that. It's going to let you know what their response was if they're requesting more information. But I usually like to submit my previous complaint with my BBB complaint. Now, the purpose of this is to escalate unresolved issues to federal oversight. This represents legal authority. So we want to make sure that you are submitting your complaints directly to the BBB, especially if it's a third-party collection agency. And when it comes to legal options, if you are not currently utilizing an FCRA attorney, then that means you're probably not using Credit Butterfly either. And that's because Credit Butterfly gives you amazing legal options to be able to utilize the FCRA and to be able to actually sue in regards to FCRA violations. Now, understanding legal options can create and greatly enhance your dispute strategy. Each step offers crucial insights into the dispute process and timelines involved. Escalating effectively ensures you maximize your chances of resolving credit issues. Sometimes us as we're not paralegals, we're not attorneys. A lot of the times we don't know what to look for in accounts that could possibly lead into litigation. There's a lot of times that we look at the files and we can see clear discrepancies, and I'm like, this is a violation, but it's not a violation that the legal team will take on. Well, with Credit Butterfly, you import your credit report directly into the system. It automatically analyzes and scans for any type of violations, and it'll actually tell you what those violations are. Now, they work directly with actually the same law firm that we work with, and they will automatically create AI letters based on the violations that the system calculated inside of the credit report. And one of the things that I found out about Credit Butterfly that I absolutely love, that I think is genius, is you don't have to send certified for a tracking. They actually have the option of sending first class, and it's so affordable. I think it was like $1 something when I looked into it, and it gives you a tracking for first class. That is a game changer, especially because a lot of people don't want to spend the extra fund to be able to send certified, especially if they're not 100% sure if it's going to go into the litigation phase. But if you're not using a legal resource to be able to escalate these disputes or these client profiles that you're not having the greatest movement in, you definitely want to make sure that you check out Credit Butterfly. You don't have to be an expert. All you got to do is run the credit report through the system, and the system will do everything else. It's very user friendly and very affordable as well.
And
So legal
printing
options,
money, literally
100%.
printing money on your existing database of clients.
Yes.
That's
Especially for those of you who have been in the industry for a while, right? Think about the clientele that you have in your system. Imagine a lot of those still keep their credit monitoring. Imagine running their credit file through Credit Butterfly, seeing the violations, and your clients being compensated anywhere between $1,000 and $2,500. That is phenomenal. This is compensation that a lot of consumers don't even know are available or are there or are possible for them. So definitely make sure that you are exploring your legal options. Will there be another training on how to use Credit Butterfly? Absolutely. Somebody said in GA, go through the Secretary of State for license requirements. Oh, if GA, go through Secretary of State for license requirements. In Florida, to check to see if collection agencies are licensed. Oh, I checked to see. Beautiful. I love to see that you guys are checking to see if they can even collect on that debt. All right, guys. So everything that we covered is everything that we put into play at Ninja Premium Outsourcing. If you guys want to get a hold of me or you guys want to check out our website, you can do so at w.ninjapremiumoutsourcing.com. Oh, I just seen a typo in my slide. I got to fix that before I send it over to you.
Pre-owned.
Premiumoutsourcing.com. Once again, my name is Lucia Corral. It was an absolute pleasure to be on here with you guys tonight. I am going to go through the comments. I don't know,
So
Stephanie, if
I'm
you
gonna
saved
man
any.
the chat for you. I'm gonna ask the questions so you can just relax and answer them. So
Beautiful.
Brenda wants to know, do you add the actual statutes in your letters to the credit bureaus? And Brenda, I'm just gonna give you anybody that uses Credit Butterfly, you are not going to do any letter on your own on any violations that have been identified in the system. You're gonna do the system one. Not gonna do anything Lucia just taught you. You're gonna do it on the other ones. But on the ones that are actual violations that we know are litigation worthy, you're going to only follow that. But then I'll let you answer that.
What you can do is you can actually run it through ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT that you want a factual version of the statute that you're trying to reflect. And then it'll give you more of a factual verbiage instead of actually implementing laws and stuff like that. A lot of attorneys actually do not like to see the actual consumer laws in the letters. Sometimes when I see these letters, I'm like, that's it? I could have just wrote that, and that they're very simple and very straight and to the point. They really are, but you'd be surprised on how much value they hold. And having that tracking number that Credit Butterfly provides for you, it is gold.
Okay. So I guess the answer is yes, she does include some statutes in the ones that she does if be able to
They're not gonna
Brenda.
if they're not gonna be able to litigate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Most of them do not have a license to do business in your state. It was Salim was just talking about the debt collectors. I think you answered that one. David had
Mhm.
said that results are better when you add consumer laws to Metro 2. See which software. Do you complain online or by mail with the CFPB?
Online. I do it online. Now, guys, I still do my initial disputes via paper mail. I love to keep a paper trail of everything. So I still keep it a little bit old school. I know there's some in the space that they've gone fully online, but I do feel like sending in your paper trail holds a lot of value, and it really does make a difference in the results that we're getting in the time frame that we're getting them in.
I kind of agree with you there. So I still send my disputes, like any of my violations that I have, I just send through Butterfly Express, right? Because I want
Right.
that tracking for that. No, every time. But all my other disputes, I do by hand, you guys. I mail them. I even write the address. I send them out in the mail. I put a
Yeah.
stamp on them and I mail them too. I do think you get a little better result sometimes that way, but the litigation ones I'm going to use
Yes.
the system one because we want a stall letter. Let's face it. Yay. Right? That's
Exactly.
good. And
Yes.
then Tamika wants to know, are you having the client set up their own account or are you using a VPN and setting up the account for them? And she's talking about the CFPB.
Yes, I would have them set up their own account. Have them set up their own account and they can give you the logins to their CFPB account once it's created.
Okay. That keeps it compliant, guys.
Yes.
We already answered that. Dispute directly to the CEO by email. That's a good tactic. Address.
Wendell,
Does your
Wendell
old
said, oh, go ahead.
Roderick Hinton wants to know, does your old address affect your score?
So your old address doesn't affect your score, but it does affect how they verify derogatory information on your file. So you do want to make sure that you're attacking all old addresses, anything that's outdated, even if it's accurate, but it's outdated. If it's not current, you only want them hosting your current data, right? So yes, you want to make sure that you're disputing the old personal information, but it does not affect your credit score.
Right, but you also have to keep in mind on that because it does get rid of some derogatory debt sometime when you do that, when you remove the addresses. But on the flip side, it can also get rid of positive accounts. And that's not always the greatest thing. So you got to keep that in
Right.
mind because you can remove all the addresses and then you can also remove a whole bunch of their positive accounts and tank their score. That can absolutely happen.
So make sure that you're verifying that you're updating your address and all your information with your current creditors before you dispute any addresses that are tied to those accounts.
So Wendell once just said, so transferred recently into a new IDR. So he's probably talking about student loans here. So if you transferred recently into an IDR, then it's going to be a fresh looking clean trade line, right? And the old one is going to have the lates.
One of the things that was super shocking to me at first, when I first started in the credit repair industry, is when I would see somebody who had gone through 10 months of schooling and they had like 10 student loans and they were all with the same account number, but they all had different balances. And I would be like, why do these all have the same account number? And as I started learning more and more, you come to realize that for every semester, it's the same account number because it is the same student loan. It's just different semesters. So if they have 5 student loans, they went to school for 5 semesters. If they have 10 student loans, they went to school for 10 semesters. That's why they have the same account number, but they have different balances
What's really funny is that when you get the whole full long account number, the last four digits are going to all be different, but they never show those.
because they
So
only
when
show the
we
front
get the
ones.
raw data, we see all the last four digits are always different. So you're different, but when you're looking at it on the credit report, they just all look 100% like the same. I know it's really confusing. I think student loans, don't you think, Lucy, are one of the most confusing parts to learn how to dispute when you first start in credit repair?
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Anita wants to know, how do you know if a creditor is unlawfully collecting in your state? Can't you go
Yep.
somewhere like the NMLS or something like that to
Yep.
find out?
Yes, you can go to the
You can explain.
NMLS website and you can go ahead and do a search or just Google it. Right? Or ChatGPT. God, I love ChatGPT for everything.
Me
I
too.
even use ChatGPT to look up my hotels and my flights and stuff like that. It is phenomenal. But ChatGPT, does this company have the legal right to collect in my state?
That's really great information. I never even thought of doing that. I'd look it up. So Brenda Epkins wants or just has a statement. In Florida, I checked to see if collection agencies are licensed at Florida Office of Financial Regulation. Salim just says if Georgia, go through Secretary of State for the licensing requirements. Paulina, will there be another training on how to use Credit Butterfly? You missed it last week, but we'll do one with Lucia. You can sign up for a demo. Oh, Kimber, that's Kim. Sorry, that's my co-founder promoting. Sorry.
I love it.
Got it. Let's see. You can use LetterStream. So, Chris, so on LetterStream, I'm gonna just say this is why we use LOB, instead of LetterStream. So I actually wanted to use LetterStream because they're in my backyard. They're right here in Scottsdale. So that was our first pick, actually, but they did not provide the tracking on first class that Lob does. So for attorneys, when you're doing litigation worthy disputes like that, the better kind of tracking you can get, like McCarthy will do with no tracking. You don't even have to have anything, honestly. But some of the other attorneys, they really want some kind of tracking. So it's important and it's good if that's what, like Equifax, they're just kind of assholes. Sorry, mouth,
I
but
call them, they're the ugly sibling of
they're
three.
horrible. That just, flew out of my mouth because that's just what they are. But they're so bad. They tell everybody, oh, we never got the dispute. They're just liars too. You know? And so you have to have something to prove it. The other thing that can actually prove that is stall letter. That's why we love a stall letter. You know what a stall letter does for you? Not only does it make sure your litigation is going to go through, but it shows that they got it and ignored it, right? And it's
It's time
final.
stamped. Now you got your
Yep, exactly. So that's what you need. So you always want to keep those anytime you get anything like that. Wendell says, any new ways to get debt buyers like LVNV, portfolio, etc., off without paying for deletion? I'll let you.
BB. BBB, Wendell. Definitely want to make sure that you're utilizing BBB, CFPB. We have a really huge success with LVNV and portfolio recovery when it comes to elimination, but we implement everything, right? And so sometimes just because, let's say, it comes to a 30-day window doesn't necessarily mean that the bureaus are even done investigating your disputes, right? So sometimes because we do this on day one and then on day 30 we implement a different tactic and then we implement something different, right? Within that time frame, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what's getting the movement, but we just know that implementing every single thing step by step is really amplifying the deletions that we're getting. But I would definitely say BBB.
I think that's great. So they will come off, but the problem is they're real sue happy too.
Oh yeah. Oh
They're
yeah.
they're gonna sue your clients to death too. So
Yes.
sometimes pay for delete is really a better option, Wendell,
Right.
when they do that. Darius wants to know what are the necessary steps to take when a CRA stalls by requesting verification, even though it was sent in initial dispute.
I would submit a CFPB complaint against that bureau. Make sure that you upload the copy of your previous investigation, your previous disputes that included your verification identity in them. Everything is timestamped, right? So you're just going to upload a PDF file. It's already going to have your investigation attached to it. Definitely make sure that you're filing a complaint against the CFPB. Let them know that you are not happy with the results of a previous investigation. That is one of the options in the CFPB website.
Well, we're getting awesome information here tonight. I'm learning things too. I love that because I don't care how long you've been in the industry, you guys, 21 years for me. I learn something new every day. Never think you know it all because you really
Nope.
don't.
No,
You
I
learn.
definitely don't know it all.
That is why you collaborate. You don't compete with people, you collaborate and you make friends and you talk to people because you're always going to learn something from each other. Paul says, do you dispute personal information through mail or the website?
So I do know a lot of people that have a huge success doing it online, but I will tell you that I usually don't like to dispute directly with the bureaus online unless it's through the CFPB or I'm disputing with the BBB, right? But I like to dispute personal information. Again, the CFPB has generated us a lot of results when it comes to personal info. A lot of people, and here's the thing, a lot of people don't see it as valuable when you remove, oh, but you just removed an old, a previous address and you just removed an alias from my credit report. That it's not a big deal. That doesn't help me in any way. But really, in reality, it really strengthens your other disputes because now if they were utilizing that old, outdated information to verify that account, they no longer can do so on the next rounds. But
Right,
yes, I would
exactly. It's a
say
tactic.
I still do them on my paper mail. I still include them in my paper mail, but I also do CFPB.
Now, Albert says now medical debt is going to be reported. How is it best to address this?
Oh, if you guys aren't using DHL, I would definitely make sure that you have an email campaign letting everybody know, even on your social media. If your clients are following you on social media, make a post about the medical debts now starting to report and how that can affect your clients and making sure that they're getting on some type of payment arrangement with those companies before they start reporting that derogatory information.
Yeah, because they have a year. So they can't report it for an entire year. But I love that advice, Lucy, because I've been giving that advice for 10 years, right? And I'm going to give you my own example of me doing it 20 years ago. There was a medical emergency, like with my son. We had like a few $1,000s in debt. At the time, we just couldn't pay it all at once. So I had like five different bills. And so I set them all up on bill pay. I literally did $25 to one, 50 to another, 10 to another, you know what I mean? And set them up for like long periods, like 36 months, 24 months, however long it was going to take for each bill. I never once affected my credit because they never sent me to collections and they would say, oh, we're not going to accept your payment arrangement. We can't accept $25 a month. But what I did was I just started sending it to them anyways, put it on bill pay. And no matter what, every single month that bill pay went out. They got their 25 bucks about 3 months in. First, they would send me letters going, oh, no payment arrangement. Then about 3 months later, they're like, okay, your $25 payment is due, right? And now you're in a payment arrangement. But it was very affordable to do that, and it never hurt the credit. That's the
Love
trick.
it.
That is the key. Exactly what
Yes.
you just told.
Making arrangements before they hit the credit report because once
Yep.
they do, sometimes it can drop about 100 points, anywhere
Oh,
between
yeah.
80 to 100 points. And that's very detrimental, especially if they're in the 600s, they'll be in the 500s. If they're in the 500s, they'll be in the fours.
Yep. Darius says, does the CFPB and BBB dispute work for LexisNexis?
Yes, you can definitely dispute against LexisNexis utilizing those different platforms. I've never disputed with LexisNexis utilizing the BBB, but I might try that myself now that you mentioned it in the same sentence. But I definitely do utilize the CFPB when it comes to LexisNexis.
Cool. Kimberly Jones says, what's the dispute to use for charge off accounts that are reopened the account through someone else trying to collect the debt?
What's the dispute to use for charge of accounts?
That are reopened through someone else. I'm thinking saying that it got transferred to a third-party collection agency. Kimberly,
Okay,
do you want to just come on and clarify what you mean by this question?
so there's a couple of things that I would look for too. So if the original creditor has sold the debt to a third party
Yes.
collector, how are
So
you tonight?
I'm fine. I'm working with one arm, so I'm drowsy over here. I'm in a
You're good.
sling, but so
Oh,
the question is, there's the account had already been charged off, but it got reopened just recently. It was charged off in 2018, and then they reopened it in 2020 or 24. So it was recently, and then they sent it over to, I guess, the judge to collect the debt for court. To
okay. So you got a summons. Did you get summoned?
I guess that was a summons. I have no idea.
Yeah,
It
they
was
may have sent you
closed
a
in 2018.
summons
They
because it
reopened.
was getting close to the 7 years being up, so
Yep.
they may have sent it to court.
So yes, they will do that. If it gets close to the end of the statute of limitations on when they can collect on that debt, they will try to summons you. Now, what happens, and the biggest mistake that a lot of consumers make, and we're not attorneys, we don't give legal advice. Let me just put that out there. But one of the recommendations is do not ignore it. If you get a summons, if you get something in the mail that is court documented, that has a court date, do not ignore it. Right now, one of the things is what happens is a lot of consumers, they get scared, they ignore it, they don't want to show up, they think they're going to go to jail. You know what I mean? We think the worst, right? And so they don't show
Mhm.
up. When you don't show up, they automatically win by
Right.
default. By default. But guess what? If you show up, and I would say probably there's an 80% chance that they're actually sorry, there is probably, I would say, a 50 chance that they're going to show up to court. If they don't show up, the consumer automatically wins by default. Right now,
Yeah.
if they do show up, it gives you the opportunity to negotiate your payment arrangements and something that's actually feasible for you to pay. Right. Because if you don't make any type of arrangements and the company is all like, I'm going to garnish this much of your wages, right? You can't negotiate.
Mhm.
But if you're in court and you're right there in front of the court, in front of the judge, you can actually negotiate how much you can pay on that debt.
And always you
Okay.
file an answer and show up to court. 100%. She's right on that. Go to court because most of the time they're not going to show up, you guys. You're going to win. Naomi said, Kimberly, this is for you. Kimberly Moses, my co-founder. Hey, Stephanie, was last week's recording replay ever sent out? I didn't see it on your YouTube channel. Are you talking about Dustin's, Naomi? Because I think it's on there now. Go back and check the YouTube. But Kim will answer you here in a second. Wendell says BBB coming in hot.
I love it.
Rolando, does clients also create their own account on BBB?
So you don't actually create an account. You do input the client's information, and it stores that data. They can create an account, but an account creation is not necessary.
Great. Do
No,
you
I do
send
not
out a
send out notarized.
notarized POA?
Nope. I utilize the self-signing POA. I do not utilize the notarized POA unless I know that there's violations on that account, and I want to make sure that I get a notarized POA sent out with that investigation in case it does go into litigation. We've got our T's crossed and our I's dotted.
So then Tyrone says, what's the website to reach out to you ladies? So we are different companies completely, me and Lucia. So Lucia, type it in the chat, your website,
Okay.
and I'll type
Perfect.
in our website, creditbutterfly.ai. You can get a demo or a trial there. Tatiana says, I'm currently using Credit Butterfly. Yes, and we love you.
Love it.
And I love how the letters sound like normal people just talking. And I'm just trying to make sure we don't add codes into our letters while disputing. Not for the FCRA violations. They're very normal. We do things really super normal. But if you want to add some of the codes to the other letters, you can follow some of Lucia's tactics. She gets really good results with those. So I would definitely say emulate some of that for sure. I'm not a huge disputer, but for the FCRA violations, just use the system ones because the law firms like them a certain way. Do you
They
see
do.
any of the results you see because you put the codes in your letters, or can we still get good results without the codes in the letters?
You can still get great results without the codes and the letters. Yes, you definitely can. I feel, just from my experience, I feel like I get better results when I actually add the code into the letter, but it's not necessary to implement.
And I think it's good,
Change it
you
up.
know,
Absolutely.
change things up all the time. You know, nothing ever stays the same in this industry, right? Just change it up, do the different stuff. I appreciate you so much, Lucia, being here. Reach out to Lucia if you have a ton of clients and you need help managing. She's amazing. And
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Stephanie, for having me on. I greatly appreciate you.
all right, see y'all later.
Have
Bye-bye.
a good evening.
Lucia